Oakley, good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, where we're going to try and get into the groove a little bit. We've been kind of skipping the grooves a little bit. I suppose groove singular actually, because there tends to be only one groove in a record. We've been skipping that groove. I haven't streamed for about a week. I haven't done any work at all for about a week. But we're going to do some now, and let me just remind ourselves about this particular little bug that we want to have a look at. So you can see here, we've got this situation here where this file was getting produced with some garbage stuff. This is the risky risk project. So really this URL should just be this, right? So this part of it is complete garbage. So we need to determine where that is coming from. Before we go on to that though, I would like to just change how I did the it was the popping, wasn't it? So config.c PopTokens. Yeah. So basically this thing here it was being used in this place here. So basically tokenize happens. The idea of the PopTokens function is if we fail to open a file, then it's to do with including files in a config file essentially. So if a config file includes a file, this tokenize function is going to try and open that file, the included file. But if it happens to be incorrectly written, it doesn't exist, it would go down to this area, it would free the file, which effectively just frees the path, and it does this PopTokens call and it sets results to be 0. The reason that it has to do PopTokens is because the very first thing that happens is push tokens, and kind of the reason why I left it doing push tokens is that we're operating on this result, right? We basically initialize the file, and we're talking about initializing it as the results file, and then we read file into buffer that result file. I think init file just sets the path, doesn't it? Yeah. So the reason that I did that, the reason that I left it doing it that way, was effectively like I didn't want to special case the startup code. Okay, but because I didn't special case the startup code, I effectively have to special case I have to handle the failure case specially, right? Meaning I have to do this free file here, PopTokens, and then set the results equal to 0. Now, thinking about it, that's just a lot more. It's a lot more work than what we could do, because all we need to know here is if the file exists. So what I'm suggesting is changing this whole thing. So basically, I'm going to initialize that result, a 0. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a new file handle. So I'm effectively going to I'm going to use this path. I need to make a string out of this path. And then I need a file. And it's going to be like handle or something. Yeah, we'll do it like that. And then if the handle right, only in that case do I actually like descend. It's effectively. So that test kind of goes away. And instead it's this. There's none of this free file and PopTokens and all that garbage, because that stuff is only going to get set in the case that we've got in there anyway. Now we do need to I think I actually need to also parenthesize that thing, don't I? Oh, I used the wrong thing, didn't I? What doesn't this say? Initializing type initializing type thingy. A car past 0 is equal to maximum 0 is all ones. And I think that should be an L as well, by the way. And then just going to warn about the parenthesization. Yeah. Push coffee watch handle. It's quite a substantial function actually, because this is the entire tokenizer. So it does all of that. It's just looping through the file. Yeah. Yeah, and then having looped through the file, you probably will need to do a push config watch handle. I think I also did say a few days ago that I will make this happen. Basically all that means is it will allow us to reparse the config if the config file changes, essentially, which is something that we wanted to. It's kind of an intrinsic part of this whole config thing, since we have the including of config files. You do want to have the ability to watch for changes of those files, because basically including a config file means that an administrator doesn't need to care about well, an administrator doesn't need to do the whole lot. You can leave some of the configuration to indexes. Now if you do that, if you leave some of the configuration for indexes, then you need a way for the program to actually handle changes to the config file that the indexer performs. change that they make. Because otherwise, if you don't watch for changes, then the administrator has to keep. There has to be this communication between the indexer and the administrator. So the administrator knows when a change has occurred in the included file, so that they can like rerun the program and pick up the new config, which sort of defeats the purpose of having the included file in the first place. So we can just remove PopToken. And we need to free that path, don't we? What else have we got? I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah, this file handle. Because you can see, basically, my previous thinking was you'd need to have this separate, you need to have just a handle that's just sitting there. But that's way less stuff flying around than we had in the case where we needed to pop tokens. So let's see if this even runs. Okay, it doesn't fail. Now, one thing I would like to check also is making a blank file. If this crashes, then I'll have to handle it a bit differently. Okay, it doesn't. Do we get any kind of warning at all? I suppose we don't, because yeah, I suppose if it doesn't have anything to tokenize, it just doesn't push any tokens on, I suppose. Did we get the warning about a file not existing actually? Oh, we might not have done, which might be something that we would want to do. In fact, I think we do get the warning. Okay, we don't. So that's 1. Probably actually at the scope level, actually. Right, it's probably where we actually call it. We don't need to do this anymore, but we want to error somehow. Pretty sure I don't need to do that. What was that saying? Field not allowed. Is that it? By the way, I think I'm also on mostly speech-free mode, aren't I? So I need to stop talking, basically. Oh, right. So this is including same file multiple times. Include path. So I reckon let's let this happen a bit earlier. Yeah, it needs to pass a pointer to a string. Does this really have to be a make string 0? I suppose resolve path is offering on a car. Yeah, well, don't know this. I guess included file could not be opened. What is p error at this point? Let's do a different function. Config file error. And we could also make it just take a path like that. And I think this is it just like that? Can you do it like that? Because it's the result of P error. No, you can't. String error. Yeah, isn't it? This is going to return the car star. So I just need to pass error number. Right. Yeah, what is the severity? Is it a warning? Yeah, I mean, if we're always going to be passing it as warning, then let's just save ourselves the trouble. Would have expected that to be in config.c, but evidently not. Included file does not exist. I'm not calling that function, am I? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I am. Aren't I? No, I'm not. So yeah. Oh, right. You actually have to write the file before you can build it. Why can I no longer get up to the errors now? $621 Cinera.css, so that'll be for 621. Just build it again. Hopefully it's still 621. Yeah, it is. So I haven't screwed up the database any more than it was. Yeah, I suppose we could prevent it from printing out this stuff. Still not exactly sure, like, why we sometimes could get all the way up, but other times we couldn't. Included file could not be opened. So I'm kind of conscious that this is more than 80 characters. but I'm not sure if we need to care too much. $147 characters. This would be 62. Yeah, then this would be 84, just as long as it needs to be. Should we get a bit fancy? Oh, I don't think it matters, actually. I was going to say, should we just make it so it's a multiple line thing? So this thing would like go down a further row, print this, and then print this on the third row. Well, not too bothered. Let's just see what we're getting here. Do we still get this situation? Yeah, we do. Perfect. And I think this was happening before as well. So what happened here? Why did this not figure out that we actually had this thing going on? Oh, it's because it skips it, is that right? Push a risky risk. Oh, it's because it can't synchronize the annotation directory. Yeah, now that happens. Perfect. That's exactly what was happening before. Index template book. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Let's step in and see what it's doing. Well, I suppose actually we can also just see. What this person thinks it's supposed to be doing. So we've got this template. So it's the Cinera URL. That's all it is. collation buffers URL search. So it's this collation buffers URL search is evidently incorrectly done. Now it's a wrap 0i, apparently. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it is. URL search and URL player. Okay. So I reckon this ain't sufficient. Yeah, these guys aren't sufficient. You have to clear it. Right. Isn't that right? I guess clear copy string would do it. I think this needs to happen anyway, doesn't it? So it would probably make sense actually if rather than doing it piecemeal for each one, I actually do just clear them. I assume you do like that. Oops. Title. Yeah, I mean, I think all of these guys are sized. Tissue organs front and clear. Oh, you need to pass the size, do you? Yeah. So, okay. Let's do a macro. And I think that should get us out of the situation that we're currently in with that buggy URL. Yeah, that dude down there. So the way that was able to happen Do we have an existing thing that can just illustrate what's going on? Yeah, I don't really. So yeah, there's garbage in that. Basically, there was some residual stuff being popped on the end of this. So there was like, well, let's just build it again. Right, there's this residual information. So evidently somebody had to write more characters into this thing. SE probably comes from bitwise. BITWISE /BITWISE. Yeah, that would be bitwise. So basically bitwise had to write this stuff, and then somebody, remember this wasn't getting cleared, somebody else was coming along and writing their own stuff into there, and then kind of null terminating the thing, right? So essentially what was happening was if the rightmost null terminator was kind of if the rightmost null terminator was to the left of some characters, then the wrap0i function in buffers.html right, this one of these wrap0i functions, what this would have done was it would go to the size of the thing, it would go to the extreme far end of the thing that we passed in, the null terminated, the implicitly null terminated string, because this is the idea here is this wrap0i is for implicitly null terminated strings, and implicitly null terminated strings are things that have a size. For example, these guys, all right, all of these things here have got a size. So it'd go to the furthermost end of this car star, and it count back. It keep going back while the thing was a null. Well, just a basic null, right? And then as soon as it hits a non-null, it would just return, right? So that's what was happening here. It was seeing this. It would see the e, or it'd probably see the / actually. It'd see the / and it'd be like, okay, so we've come to the furthest most point of this thing, not realizing that there's actually nulls before it. Yeah, I mean, I could make it go the other way, couldn't I? I could make it go the same way as the other wrap0i. Sorry, the wrap0. But I think I won't, so I think I'll just leave it. Yeah, I mean, if that thing does contain some information, you'd want to know about it, right? Because right, if I do make it go the other way, then I would avoid this problem here of encountering a null terminator midstream. But that could it could mask the problem of us having written this stuff, right? And you don't really want to, because what would happen is this whole thing would end up getting written into the database without clearing this, essentially. So you just end up with a bit of garbage. And if I change the wrap0i function to work forwards, although it would produce the right string here, it wouldn't alert us to the fact that there's still some garbage. Right, so we'd have no indication that was going to go into the database effectively, if you understand what I mean. So I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to let it actually alert us to the fact that we haven't cleared something. You know, I'm going to leave it with the opportunity to actually exhibit these kinds of bugs, so I can actually go back in and perform the actual clear. So yeah, we've got that going. So the two things we've done so far is we've just changed the pop tokens. We got rid of the pop tokens function. Instead of doing the kind of undoing of the like the pushing of the tokens onto that tokens list, instead of undoing that thing, we've just changed it so we're not going to do that. We're not going to push on at all in the first place. Yeah, and we report this error as well if the file could not be opened. But yeah, we just changed tokenize so that it just tries to do this, right? So we set up this new temporary handle simply for the purposes of trying to open the file. And if we manage to get that handle, then we go in and do the tokenization, and then finally free it. And then we just fix the uncleared URL, the search URL. Let's have a look at the nodes. Right, yeah, it's this. I think it was that way around. We simply weren't clear in the URL search. Kind of terminated early. So gracefully handle the failure when a .index file is absent yet the database contains valid entries. So maybe what, straight on with the next step, which is essentially trying to get a collation thing going on. So if we go to, this is fine by the way, it just means that, I mean, I guess we could look at it actually, see what it actually means. I think, if I'm not mistaken, all that's going on here, because this is all that's working, I think all that's going on is that the CSS file is just out of date, I think. Do need to rerun that actually. So it's looking at main.css. It's also saying that logo32.png, yeah, that just isn't getting found actually, is it? Is it? Because that would be this. Well, what's that down there? Oh, right. So that thing down there is sourcing this actual file. I don't think we want that to happen, do we? So I think that was a bit... Well, hang on a second. Yeah, we don't want that to happen, because we would want that to actually have a... We would want it to be hashed. So it sort of seems to me like this template file is simply not the template file that I actually use. Yeah, I shouldn't really be showing that, should I, actually? Would that be a problem? I think it might not be a problem because... No, I don't think it will be a problem, because it's getting generated each time. Yeah, maybe that will. It's going to be a risky risk. So this is what that's claiming would look like. You do not appear to be permitted to view. Really? Oh. Oh, right, yeah, I'm on this browser. Never mind, I don't think it really matters. But at least... What's going on here? Logo 32. Oh, I'll tell you what, actually. Yeah, that was it. This is generated. Right. This is done by the site generator. As in like the fast CGI site file. Right. Or site program. and that thing doesn't know about hashing. So yeah, that's why these guys don't have a hash. But I think we need to sort out with Cinera itself. I think we, like I say, we can just probably just ignore this kind of stuff. I suppose so it's not distracting, we can just prevent it from doing the template. Do we have any more templates actually? No, we don't. Okay, so basically what we want to be doing is getting this thing actually to generate something, because I think this is the right path. So effectively, we want to be, for that parent, we want to be producing effectively a collation where is it? There are 4 of them. Risky. And then finally risk. So effectively, right, we want to be, for the parent of these people, we want to be getting this stuff, this stuff, this stuff, and this stuff all in a list. And then we want to get this search thing to actually work on them all. And additionally, for the book, we want to have a book thing that itself contains code and reader. So the book one will only contain code and reader, and then the top level risky one will contain risky, book code, book reader, and risk. Yeah, monitor thingy. So yeah, this is all tied to deletions and insertions, isn't it? If we deleted or inserted, then we generate search page. Delete or insert, generate search page, and then here, if we've inserted, generate search page, then that's because this one's breach our privacy. So this could take the neighborhood. I think we will just have the generate search page still doing its own thing. We've got the neighborhood, and the current project. Does the current project tell us who the parent is? It tells us all its children. It doesn't tell us who his parent is. Do we need to know the parent? I think we do need to know the parent. Yeah, it would be completely sensible, I think, to, whenever you insert or delete something from a given project, all you need to do is send 3 parents, just making sure that all of those guys know about the new person. Or the deleted person. So when we push projects onto config, I think this is sufficient. The regular push project. Parent child. Push project to project. Do we need to pass the parent? No, you just do this, don't you? Now, am I going to end up in that situation where people could get moved around? Like this, basically. Offset association project pointers. except it's not that, is it? It's oh, we don't have that. We don't have a function for it. Scope tokens. Who was it that had to do that? Was it push scope? Yeah, it was. So push scope is talking about doing that. I don't think the config itself could be somebody's parent. So I think we're okay on that count. Push product onto config. Fit. Right. I think actually this person might have to do some more stuff, isn't it? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Offset association product pointers. What's HTML does exactly? So basically, right, it's exactly the same situation as push scope. If we need to fit this parent.child, then as well as going through the HTML doers, whatever, we also need to go through the grandchildren. We need to go through all of our grandchildren and fix up those pointers. Is that true? Yeah, I think it is. Because if you're going to be moving this allocation for the children, so that you've got a parent here, or you've got a grandparent here, their child, you're setting the allocation for their children, right? And then if their the children of your children, so your grandchildren. If your grandchildren are pointing up to the parent, you need to fix up those pointers that are pointing into that thing. Right. So it needs to pass the parents as well. Offset association project and parent pointers. Now, since we're taking the parent, well, I suppose actually, this only cares about the currents. Oh, and that's to see if this matches. Okay. Fine. I don't think we care about that. No, I don't think we do care about that. Projects and parents. Oh, right. Oh, shit. That's unfortunate. Because if we're going to push into the main config, we need a separate function for offset. We need a top level function. Okay, fine. So, I mean, I guess offset project pointers. And this guy, so we don't actually need to pass that parent to this because it didn't use it. We just make this guy call, we make them both call that, basically. And let's just rename that back to what it was. So it wasn't and parents, it was just to the association pointers. Just want to hit the C. Product arc and diff. Okay. Implicit declaration, offset association. Okay, so both of those functions want to call the, it's the wrong file. That function. And then the top level guy goes something like that. So I remembered that perfectly. And this guy's doing the same thing, except the stuff it's looping over is a bit different. So it's child counts. Did it crash? It isn't crashing so far. Now, is this actually the right thing to be offsetting? I think it is. If we are fitting children, we need to be offsetting the parent pointers of the children of our children. Product analog. Add product to association. Can't even remember what this is supposed to be talking about. Set unique HTML dir. So it's these guys. Set unique HTML dir. Was it something to do with the watch handles? Don't know. No idea. I assume it's working. I just have to trust that it is. So, generate search page. Collation buffers search. Oh yeah. Updating landmarks. That'll have to happen. I guess as the very first step, let's just see what we're printing out. Let's see what we're setting for the parent. So whenever we want to generate the search page, we're just going to print the parent of our current project. Oh, that's a point. If somebody doesn't have a parent, it's going to be 0, isn't it? So what does that actually do? It doesn't actually check, does it? But it doesn't seem to be bothered. Oh right, yeah, print project actually operates recursively, doesn't it? Yeah. That might be a bit more sensible thing to do. Right, yeah. Then you have to print a new line. So there's hero again. Again hero. Again hero. Bitwise. Risky. I think the next one should say book, shouldn't it? Risky book, rather. Oh, so it's risky there, risky. Yeah, they've got risky book. Just let me make it sleep for 1 second so you can get through it a bit quicker. Yep. You need to actually print the thing for this parent. Alright, and then it should print risky book and then risky, shouldn't it? Yeah. So effectively, when it does these guys, when it does risky book co-add, it is going to generate a search page for I mean, you could also sort of say this, couldn't you? Right. So it should be producing a search page for hero misc and hero, bitwise, bitwise, and bitwise. And then for these guys, it should be producing 3 search pages. So it sort of seems, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't think we do actually affect our children. Like, if, for example, risky book contained if risky book contained a file that we edited, meaning that we need to produce a new search page for this, I don't think that this search page should affect this search page. This search page can only affect this search page. So yeah, we only need to ascend to parents. Let's mock up some stuff. Tell you what would be pretty handy. Cinera index. I was going to say, it'd be pretty handy if we could just produce a bunch of these divs. One for reader, one for, one for the various people. Setting the base URL to be this. And then with that base URL set, the JavaScript file can then just construct the index file from this and this. And then there shouldn't be too much modification. But if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't do that straight away because this is a div ID. But I think, could it suffice to simply change this so that this is a div class equals Cinera index entries. This guy is the one that contains these. Right. Then we have a single Cinera index with multiple of these guys in. So what have we got? Cinera index. So index container. Oh, right, this is going to go, isn't it? Yeah, that player URL prefix. Actually, maybe not. Not exactly sure why we're doing that every time though. Because the base URL and the player location are the same thing, aren't they? I mean, they don't change in this loop. So that could get computed out there. I'm just sort of thinking in terms of when there's multiple of these people going in. Like, do we need to save the base URL at all for each individual one? I don't think you do. Right, it'd be just the index locations. What's it? I mean, that is something I need to think about, actually. I need to think about how I want to do the index files. Like, yeah, what would it be? Like, do you produce an index file that includes the children? Do you produce index files that duplicate the content that itself concatenates the index files of its children? I'm not sure. What's the difference between these guys? Risky and risk. What is going on here? Oh, was this with the template? I think it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Cinera index entries. How is that being used? Oh, blimey! So that's just being used to figure out the sorting of it. So it seems like we want to get rid of this idea, doesn't it? I mean, unless we just change it to be an ID. Sorry, change it to be a class. And then you just say, when you do that, when you change the sorting order, you just say for each of the guys of that class, within the Cinera indexing, just set the flex flow to whatever you want. Why is that not searching anything? Yeah, okay. I think the way this could work is if we pull these guys out of here, stick them into here, change this to be a class, and then within this div ID Cinera index, you just list out all the dudes. Right, so you're going to have this person here, all of these guys. I think that's what you'd want. What time is it? Or rather, how long have we got left? We've got 11 minutes left. Or more like 8-ish minutes. Yeah, let's make a note of what to do, and then let's do it tomorrow. I guess we're going to do it right here, actually. think that should work. I've also got a horrible feeling haven't I? That's the collation buffer search will have to be generated for each person. Which might not be too bad. It doesn't seem too bad because it seems like generate search page itself is responsible for produced producing that, well, populating that buffer. Yeah, search the buffer, isn't it? That's what it'll be. Figure out how to produce a search page that collates the entries of multiple projects. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, effectively we're talking about this hit right here, isn't it? What is this saying? Query container. For each entry, we do this thing. So yeah, it seems like we're going to have to do this search to buffer on each person. So that's talking about the neighborhood. Current project. I'm not exactly sure why some of the time it's using the N project and some of the time it's using the current project. And the only reason it's using the N at all is to access the N project. Is that right? Metadata file. Oh no, the N project is actually a pointer. It's a pointer into the metadata file, isn't it? So it's a different deal. So yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, you can see the DB header project is what that is. It's not a project. So my suggestion is that we make it take a project and we do a locate project on that project, so we can actually find this end project, right? So then we're talking about the thing in the database. Then I think we can just do everything as we want to, can't we? Because we're in the database, we're looking through all the stuff that we actually need. And when we're talking about these entries down here, I mean, it's just the entries that are in the database. Establish a rigorous numbering, and this is for when get project from database. So that's the thing what I'm talking about. It's not get project from database, it's locate project. Isn't it? I think it is. Current project index. Yeah, so basically all the projects are going to have an index set. So you're just saying locate project for that guy in the database, and then you just produce the entries for it, I think. But yeah, anyway, Alice in Moyer is finished, so that means that I finished as well. We're doing a couple of hours, so let's call it right there and pick it back up tomorrow. So thank you very much, heroes and heroines, for being here, for being fantastic and beautiful, and for being I guess planning, for being planning for this collation. Thanks for being collatory. Until next time, farewell for now.